hill, they had an elevated board sidewalk, ran from the main drag down to where the schoolhouse sits now, and they had one the other way, because that was the general waterway down through there. There was an open creek of water ran from, I think they call it Franklin Street now, but there's an open creek ran down through there, right in front of the, right close to the schoolhouse. And
early, they couldn't come, or
You remember?
too old or sick.
See, we used to go ahead, and then we had to go north.
We make it up.
Started here or something.
We're parking it now, that was on my road for the day.
Yeah.
You went north, I had a mile down the
Nine
east.
buildings, over 9 buildings. You get these old people together, we'll have to visit.
that was just, you know, I'd like to see the day when we can hire these men. At Antwerp, we had 2 dry goods stores where they sold dry goods,
Yeah.
gloves. We had 2 clothing stores where they sold men's haberdashery. And we had 1 Earhart studio photograph that was back there many years ago and still in existence by his great-grandson, I think, or grandson. And we have the Earhart Museum, which is quite a place, and they should have more room to look it over. They have a lot of things in there that should talk about, and we should have room for more in Earhart Museum, which is worth your time to stop and look at, which isn't very well displayed. But I feel as though we should, some way, somehow, get more room for it and display the things they really have. And I think that just about winds me up.
You know, there's could you click that off for a minute?
Greatest collections of old guns and so forth by a gentleman by the name of Harper, that lived on the street right up there. Harper. And he had weapons that was before Christ, the Chinese had. And during the WPA days, we tried to get the commissioners to build a museum for Earhart's equipment, Earhart stuff, and Mr. Harper's. But Harper, I had, during my tour of duty over here as a National Guard captain and so forth, I had a good many Army people come down for inspections and so forth, and I'd take them over to Harper's museum, which he was kind enough to go up and show me the weapons. And he had weapons that was out of this world, old blunderbusses that the Pilgrims had, the big General, and he had a remarkable collection that he had at that time, back even during the Depression days, insured for $100,000. And we let it get away. His daughter, he died, his daughter married some individual, I don't remember who, it matters not. But he sold it out a piece at a time, and when he got rid of most of it, why, he left her. But anyhow, that's the story of a nice museum, and we have one in Antwerp, and I think it's well worth looking after and looking at when you have time. But it's too bad. And what you're suggesting would be very fine if the town would do it, but they'd have to make it quite a bit bigger than, and there are lots enough there because there's enough vacant ground when you're talking about the Johnson. He will sell it, but there's one bad move. They approached him, and when there's already out that Albert Johnson had contributed a certain amount of money, and they approached him on a gift for it, which Bob Johnson isn't about to give it away, so they'll have to negotiate for it now.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Al Johnson, his money, he wanted it to go for the building of the library, you know, not to buy the lot. So, yeah. Well, I don't know how that'll go, but we're hoping that...
That's a big lot there, and they have plenty of room.
It's 2 lots.
There are 2 or 3 lots here.
Yeah.
That's right across from where the wagon factory, where the bowling alley is, where the wagon factory and buggy factory they had in Antwerp was at one time. Gentlemen's. And there our studio was there way back in the early days when I was just a youngster.
What can you tell us about Earhart?
Hmm?
What can you tell us about Mr. Earhart?
Mr. Earhart, well, why, he was a photographer, and what do you call him? He was experimenting with everything. He stuffed animals, taxidermists, and he searched all over the country for snakes and such things as that. But in detail, I can't tell you. Only that he ran a movie house. He had little penny pictures in the early days. He used to take the kids' pictures in the spring of the year, a penny a piece, and you'd get 25, 30 of them for 25 cents. And he took all kinds of pictures, and he has old birds. He has a federal license to stuff or kill any type of bird as long as you get go before doing the thing. And he has hawks and ducks and various other things in this museum that I could not even start to tell you about.
Where is this museum located right now?
It's in Town Hall, in the portion of it where the, yes, and I was going to tell you about that, is where the firehouse used to be. And the first firehouse we had, or house we had, the firefighting equipment we had in Antwerp was no, well, you had the bucket brigade first, and then they got the old hand pump, and it pulled by men, not horses. It pulled by men, have to run to the firehouse when the fire bell would ring, run, get this machine with a long rope on it, somebody steering it, then take it to fire, and get into a fire cistern, because we didn't have any running water, get hose enough to reach from that, and then everybody pumping. And everybody, when the fire bell would ring, everybody would run for the fire, most every available man. And one group would pump this old pumper for a while, they'd get tired, somebody else would get on and keep it going until they run out of water or the fire burn out.
Probably emptied out everyone's cisterns when that happened, didn't it?
They had fire cisterns. They dumped most everybody in every water pool around, but they had large sewers every so often, not sewers, but cisterns. They called them fire cisterns. And in the edge of the street, I know they had two in Antwerp, and they also had, we had two town pumps. They had a town pump on the corner of Daggett and Main Street, where you could water your horses or water yourself or whatever, and water was carried. And they had one at the corner of River and Main Street, both on the east side of the road, the street. And the barber shops carried their water there, and the restaurants had water. And I worked in the bake shop, and I carried water from the town pump on Daggett Street to make the bread and so forth that we made in the bake shop. We got our waterworks in 1921. This was the first water that they had in Antwerp, when we had the chick sales and all out behind up until 1921.
Do you think those water cisterns still exist, or were they?
They were some of them.
Shoved in?
Since the sanitary sewers been in, I'm not sure, but there were some of them being used for cesspools.
Oh, yeah.
And I can tell you where one is, right at the corner of Railroad Street and Main Street, right where the ice cream parlor is, right at the edge there. There's one of them. And one of them is back of where the restaurant is, across the street. Another one around the corner, which I know was used for a cesspool, where J.B. Johnson's factory burnt down and where the VFW building is now. It's right at the edge of that. That was three of the fire cisterns that they had, and they were big ones. They held a lot of water, but it didn't take long to pump and dry when they put fire going.
Back there in the teens and the 20s, they played a lot of baseball around Antwerp. And there's the Reeve family. They were pretty good players. There's Tom Reeve, and Oliver Reeve, and Mandus Reeve. This Oliver Reeve, he was a mail carrier for quite a few years. And he one time, back, before the World War, he is said to have struck out Babe Ruth.
Oh, really?
And that was it wasn't around Antwerp, it was, he played for...
He was playing for New Jersey.
He was playing for New Jersey.
Exhibition game.
It was an exhibition. He knows about it.
That Reed family he's talking about, it was connected with the Pepley family, which I didn't mention before. The Pepley family and the Reeds, this Manus Reed, was he was your uncle.
My uncle, yeah.
He was your uncle, married a rising girl. But he played baseball for Harry Clark from here with Milwaukee Brewers in Milwaukee, and he injured his knee. He was a much better ball player, not better than Oliver. Oliver was a good pitcher, but he got homesick, and Tom was good. You know? Tom, I played with Tom, and I was playing against the guy who had played for the Senators, Washington Senators, and Tom hit the tooth down at him. He said, listen, he said, I never stepped out of a ball in my life, but I stepped out of two that hit that big day. He was the first baseman of Washington Senators. And we was playing up in Kendallville. And his name was Summerlot. He'd been a star first baseman. Of course, I'm not that kind of ball player. I played sandlot baseball around Paulding and Antwerp and Payne. But Harry Clark was the manager from Paulding here. Was the manager of Milwaukee Brewers for 4 or 5 different years. And Manus Reed played for him. Oliver went to New Jersey to play out with the Eastern League, try out. He made the grade, but he got homesick and came home.
Do you remember the team that was called the House of David?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I played against him.
You played in that. Now, which one of the Hart boys played in that? One of Frank Hart's sons. Was it Chester?
Chester.
They wore long hair. You know,
yeah.
at that time that was.
The House of David, there was Jewish people from the colony of House of David in Michigan.
Yeah.
They had long hair, and they all had beards, and
long hair.
yeah, the Hart boys and there's something else.
Was there 2 of the Harts that played?
The Hart. There was 2 or 3 other ones. I was thinking of. There's some Barbara Combs. There's Cone played down there. Playing this. You're talking about Cecil, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
And Combs and Harts. I didn't know.
Frank Hart.
They were still in a relationship, right?
No,
I don't remember with the mom. But I knew Chester and now, but still.
No, that's fine, no. I think the more we think and bring up things, why it brings some memory, I was wondering whether we've had any other famous people that have come not only from Antwerp, but from Paulding County as a whole. Any that you can think of that have through the years.
How does Antwerp compare with Paulding? Was Antwerp an established village before Paulding? I just wonder if Mr. Donnell would know that.
I didn't quite understand what he said.
When was Antwerp established before Paulding? I forget what we came up with in Paulding the last time.
I have those dates at home, but I can't.
And I have them upstairs.
But I don't think so.
I kind of believe that it was, because our first courthouse was over there.
In Rochester.
And I think Antwerp,
Your first
I could look it
courthouse.
up.
Antwerp started in 1841, see, and at that time Paulding wasn't established yet, I don't believe.
And then your canal influenced I think that's...
Well, see, Antwerp was really 1841, that's when they named it the village of Antwerp, but 1825 is when the first settler came there too, so we'd have to see what happened here.
Long about that time. But the first, I don't know if it's the first one, but at one time, the county seat of Paulding, Defiance County, was at Defiance Junction.
Yeah.
They had the building down there. The joint courthouse where they held circuit courts and so forth.
Do you know how they named Antwerp?
No.
How do they name Antwerp?
How's it? I don't know unless it's a gentleman from Belgium where they had an Antwerp, Belgium.
The story that I was reading in some of the many clippings and little booklets we have on Antwerp said that a bunch of the town men, the council, got together at that time and they went through a directory of names that they had of all the people who lived in Antwerp. And evidently they didn't want to name, I'm just thinking they didn't want to name it any name that was already there. So they were setting out on a stump out in the wooded area there, and they saw some ants, and the ants were working around, and so one man said, well, let's name it Antwerp. So that's the story I read. I don't know.
That pamphlet was put out by OER, wasn't it?
I don't know who wrote that.
I think it's put out by OER, somebody else might have wrote it, but he put out a pamphlet on the centennial in 1940.
Oh, so something to that effect.
Did Antwerp ever have any brick streets when the
Yes.
first, did they? Are any still there?
Well, they're underneath.
No, but you can't see them.
Brick
Paulding still has.
The first brick street was in Antwerp was in 1916. The brick laid from Canal Street to the corporation on the north.
See, Paulding still has a brick street. Main Street has still got a little bit of the old brick street.
Main Street.
Main,
They still have brick there.
Yeah.
Well, we had brick, we
Some people
covered
want
it.
to blacktop it, but others want to preserve it.
Main Street right out here, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We covered
That's
it.
we're on the north end.
We still have that street, and that's the only brick street there is in Antwerp.
Why, did those bricks come from Harmon's or not?
No, come from where?
Harmon's?
No.
They didn't come from
They
there.
didn't burn that harder brick.
I see.
They didn't make that kind. They came out, I don't know where they came out of. But that was, again, assessment against the property. And when they started that, they had injunctions put on the building of it 3 different times. They stopped the work on the paved street.
You speak about the different businesses. How many saloons did they have at that time, at the height of their
Most of those brick shops in South East Ohio,
glory?
they had red clay, and that made the best brick.
They had a separate kiln for them, you know. Higher temperature, they burn them harder. No, the only
Most
thing.
of your bricks come from southeastern Ohio, like east of Liverpool and
Yeah.
Steubenville.
That's-
Because they're clay ground, they had a red clay, and
I
that
think
made,
I think that one network came from Steubenville.
yeah.
The only tile that, or the only bricks that Harmon's ever made was the building bricks, you know.
The building tile?
Yeah. Like the corn crib made out of.
Yeah, the concrete made up.
And their house is made out of.
And it didn't hold up.
I don't know.
The corn crib's still going good.
And that house is still standing too.
Our coal house fell down.
Well, I sure appreciate all of you coming and sharing with us the memories that you have and the knowledge that you have on Antwerp and Carryall Township. Perhaps as we wind this all up at the very end, we'll be able to add more. Now, next week we're going to go to Crane and Emerald Township. We're going to, as the letter showed you, it has the dates. Every Monday we're going to just keep going until we have covered all of Paulding County. And then as a, perhaps we can say the grand finale, because I know everyone's going to say, why didn't I tell this? Jot down some of those things that you think that we missed that we should have told. And then when we do the last one, then we'll bring everybody, and you all can come to all of them. But the last one, we want everyone here, for sure.
When's that going to be?
You're going to be in Florida. You have to fly back here.
I won't be in Florida, I'll be in Indianapolis.
Indianapolis, okay. It's going to be the third Monday in December.
No, I won't be here.
You won't be here.
On the last one. There's a lot of things I would like to jot it down that I've thought about over the time, but I can't see to do it. And if I jotted it down, I couldn't read it.
You know, you should have a little tape recorder.
I do have.
You could.
I'm making a tape of my military life for a chap that wanted it, and also another soldier's military life.
All right, that should be good. Now, you were in how many wars?
3, sir.
3.
World War I and World War II, and I wasn't in combat in Korea. I was just in during the Korean conflict. I could belong to Legion DFW. I was in the combat areas, but I was not in any hand-to-hand or any type of combat in the Korean conflict.
What were your total years that you spent in the service?
41 years and 6 months.
Oh my, that's something. That's remarkable.
No, that wasn't all active duty.
No.
I belonged to Guard and I belonged to Reserve. I belonged to Guard here from 1921 to 1940. I took A Company away from here in 1940, and I had 121 men, and 62 of them from Antwerp.
Oh my, that's pretty good.
They was from Grover Hill, Avon, Paulding. Had Claude Miller. Claude Miller got killed in the Philippines. Was my first lieutenant. I went up as battalion commander, and he took a company over. He commanded C Company out of Finley when he got killed. I had Jimmy Gorman, Mark Stack, North Ship from Grover Hill. There was 2 or 3, 4. Oh, I had quite a few of them from Paulding here. Some from Payne. John Heck from Payne got killed in the Philippines. Charles Thomas from Paulding was killed in the Philippines. And several more today.
It's hard to remember them all, isn't it?
It is for a man that's 93 years old. 93 years and 5 days.
I think you're remarkable for being 93 years old, and what you can remember. I hope my memory is just half that much. If I'm fortunate to live that long, I think that's great, and we really appreciate you coming
I hope
today.
I'm able to walk.
I think we ought to give him a hand for what he's done for us today.
I do too. Without you, we would not have had the history of the memories of Antwerp. Very, very good.
Well, I miss a lot of things. I miss a lot of good people in there.
Well, now see, you're going to think of those later, and that's why. Maybe when are you coming back from Florida?
I'll be back here the 1st of March.
Okay, well, maybe we'll get together the 1st of March. Do our grand finale then. How about doing it then? We'll do it the 1st of March. After you're back, you let us know when you come back,
Okay.
and then we'll pull everybody in again. And by that time, they'll all remember all the things that they didn't remember to tell. And we'll just put it all together, and that will make us a tape of Paulding County as a whole.
You know, I have some papers over. I don't know just where they're printed. They're quite old, but it tells about Teach Landing down here.
Yeah, we want to go into that.
And a lot of those things that happened in Emerald Township.
Mhm. Are you going to be here next Monday then when we go into Emerald Township and Tate's Landing?
I don't know. I may be. It all depends. It's difficult for me to get around. I got to go where the bus goes.
Yeah.
I can bring you over if that's all right.
Emmett would be in that too, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
We'll see how he feels now.
Okay.
All right, that's great.
Don't forget.
Well, we'll wind